the World Cup is just weeks away. We are definitely under a month out before the World Cup kicks off on July 20th. We know the U.S. women's national team roster. We're starting to get more of the final rosters for national teams. We have a lot of preliminary and provisional types of rosters that are currently out there. National teams putting out these provisionals in an effort to get those final evaluations in before they name a final 23. And I think we're really excited as some of these final rosters start to drop because we get to see some pretty special moments. We get to see a lot of special reactions. We're witnessing players and their dreams come true. Essentially, I love this series that the U.S. is putting out there with AT&T, referencing the call and how we're getting these little glimpses.
Oh my gosh, making me sob.
Yeah, and like getting the little glimpses of their reactions, and we're starting to get reactions across the globe because we want to talk about Brazil a little bit because Brazil dropped their 23 player roster. Pia Sundhag, the head coach, at a podium in a press conference format, getting the 23 player roster delivered by their, yellow canary mascot and reading off the names of players that will participate in the World Cup for Brazil. Loved being able to see some of the footage and the video of that. And I really, really loved seeing the reactions of some of the NWSL Brazilians, right? Like we have been excited about that pretty much since the beginning of this regular season. When the off season showed us all of these different types of moves that multiple teams were making, bringing in various Brazilian internationals.
Yeah,
we were like, gosh, like we love this influx of players coming in. It's going to elevate the play of NWSL to another level, right? And I think we've witnessed that so far in this first half of the regular season and through Challenge Cup. And you get attached to the players, right, that you cover or that you watch, and you're looking and you're hopeful for them. You're like, hey, we cover them, we see, we analyze. It's like they do enough here. Like maybe they're gonna get a chance to crack this roster. And there are a ton of Brazilians who play in NWSL on this roster, probably headlining Marta, right? We're looking at Carlin, Debinha, Ari Borges, Bruninha. We're looking at Adriana. Like, this is awesome. I love this. If you're joining us live, we've got a graphic for you to take a look at for all the players who are going to represent NWSL at the World Cup with Brazil. And we have enjoyed watching this team play in their build-ups to the World Cup. We got to see them pretty recently during She Believes Cup. It was a team that we were excited to keep an eye on, again, for all of the NWSL reasons, but because of this team and their place in the global landscape of soccer. I know when we talk about our World Cup content on this show, there's moments where we get opportunities to talk about non-US women's soccer things, and I love that this is one of those moments for us. I mean, Brazil is entering this World Cup as one of the top 10 ranked teams going into this tournament. By that alone, that's an automatic direct rival and competitor to the World Cup.
Totally.
Any of these top 10 teams have an absolute shot at lifting the cup this summer. And I don't know how you look at this roster that Brazil just dropped and not be bought in to what they can pull off this summer in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible to watch this team. It's actually surprising that to me that Brazil is still searching for their first World Cup star.
Yeah.
That they've appeared in so many and they've been such a powerhouse in the world of women's football. I mean, you look at these stars that they have around the world. I mean, we're just looking at the ones in the NWSL right now, but the talent is unmatched at this point. Now, Brazil in the World Cup, they're going to be in Group F. So it'll be themselves, Brazil, France, Jamaica, and then Panama, who are debutantes in this group. So not an easy group by any means, with France and Brazil, I think, being the two top in the group, with Jamaica and Panama maybe being a little bit of underdogs. Yes, Jamaica has been in a World Cup before in 2019. They're returning at this point, but it's still a long, tough road for them. I would not be surprised if Brazil makes a pretty deep run in this World Cup out of their group, moving on. It's going to be tough against France, but the talent that they have, I know people in our chat are also talking about Pia and
Yeah.
how amazing Pia is as a coach. She's gotten around, right? Americans know her pretty well. She's been with a number of different nations, and she's found success a lot of places that she goes, and that's what is pretty intimidating. And then you look at the talent that Pia has gathered on her roster. It's incredibly impressive to see the depth of it. But we have to talk about one player in particular,
Oh,
Sandra.
I'm not ready, Lisa. I'm
We have,
not ready.
not only is it Marta's 6th World Cup appearance, 6th, ladies and gentlemen, 6. Are you kidding me? It will sadly be her last. And some tough news coming out of this as Marta made this announcement even before Pia announced the roster in the very ceremonious way that she did. But it was a bit heartbreaking. I mean, like, you knew the road was coming to an end, but you just hate to see it.
It's just an absolute legend of the game, an icon in every way you can describe and imagine. I think even if we look back to the last cycle and the 2019 World Cup, there were, hints of that narrative already around this player during that previous World Cup. But there was no formal announcement. There wasn't a verbalization from the player that, hey, that's going to be my last ride as a player with Brazil. But that has now come with this World Cup. That has come with this announcement for Brazil's 23. And it's a little bit different. There's something different about when you sort of have that hard yes or that hard no going into an event like this.
Mhm.
And honestly, I appreciate that as someone who has had to cover the game, who's been a fan of Marta's for a long time, and what she's done and what she has meant to the sport. There's something about the long goodbye that maybe it affects you differently, and maybe that's helpful for the player.
I
As
agree.
well.
I think it is. I think it's a bit cathartic for the player to be able to say that. I mean, most recently we saw it with Carly Lloyd, of course, but even like in the league, we saw it with Ali Krieger out of Gotham, former U.S. international. How she announced at the start of this year, "Hey, this is going to be my last season." I think it's a moment of closure and a moment of just giving insight to the fans and the people around, for Marta at least, for them to know, like, okay, the headspace that Marta is in during this World Cup. Of course, it's her 6th, so she's been there, she's done that, she understands what it's like. But the headspace that she's in, knowing that it is pretty bittersweet for her, that it is her last. I think having that transparency is really important for the player moving forward. That way, they get different questions in media, right? We're already seeing that from Marta, getting different questions lined up for her about how this is her last. And it's less of a speculation, and it's more of like, okay, how are you celebrating this last go around? How are you preparing for it? And I mean, the highest score ever in the tournament is Marta, right? Like, amazing. It's fantastic to see. And I hope that she goes out on a legendary World Cup, right? Whether it be like getting another couple of goals or going really far with Brazil at this point, winning it all, whatever that may be. I hope that it's as legendary and memorable as Marta is herself.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I know we're going to keep an eye on all that she contributes to this World Cup and the players as well, because I mean, you see the effect that she has on her teammates as well. Pia has alluded to that Marta's presence on a World Cup roster is just as important, as of equal value of what she produces on the pitch, but within the locker room as well. So to hear from players already that they are locked in and buying, that they are motivated as well by this being her last World Cup, I think has all of the right like spices and ingredients and everything. It's the perfect recipe for them to go out and maybe do something special. So I know we're excited to watch it and cover it, and of course pay honor to it along the way.
Of course, of course. And with Brazil, they get a friendly, a little send-off match themselves that'll be played on July 2nd against Chile before they head off. So an opportunity to watch the team before they get to Down Under and the World Cup. I know I'll be tuning in on July 2nd to watch Brazil versus Chile, get a taste of what Pia's got in the mixing bag for her squad.
We absolutely had to touch on Brazil and their 23-player squad. Marta's last ride with Brazil. But a little bit of breaking news, of course, that we have to touch on, because it's not an attacking third live unless there's not some breaking right in the middle of the show. But the World Cup is weeks away, so lots of rosters dropping throughout the course of the next couple of weeks, with a deadline coming up for your final 23. Ireland has narrowed down their roster as well, and we are very excited to react to Sinead Farrelly being named to Ireland's final 23-player roster. We're talking about special storylines in the build-up to the 2023 World Cup. I don't know if there's as special of a storyline as this one with the Sinead Farrelly march to a World Cup.
Oh, it's so special. It is truly phenomenal to see that not only has Sinead made a comeback to the game of soccer, whether it be in an administrative role or a coaching role, just involved in the sport, because I know that was difficult for her as an agent for change in the abuse, in the systemic abuse in women's football. But she came back and played with Gotham. She got a call up in April to the Irish national team when they played against the United States, 2 games in which were close score lines for Ireland, and then has been named to this World Cup roster for the Republic of Ireland. Truly fantastic. I believe she's one of 3 current NWSL players for Ireland that are headed down under, and Ireland are debutantes at this point and at this World Cup. So that's really special to see. I know that for Sinead, it's been a long road. It's been a good road. It's been a hard road. But most recently, I know she did an interview with, I'm going to shout out Jonathan Tannenwald of the Philadelphia Inquirer, because he sat down with Sinead and talked about what it's like for her to come back to the sport and be on this World Cup team. And it's almost a bit surreal for her to say that she's from greater Philadelphia area. And so it's fantastic to see. I think Ireland gained a lot of American fans when they played the United States in April of this year, just because of what they were able to bring and how they were able to compete against the United States. They're a good, tough team. Yes, they're debutantes in the World Cup, but I think Ireland's going to make a run for it. So we have a picture of Sinead up here that Gotham tweeted out that I put out, but North Carolina also put out a young picture of the captain, Denise O'Sullivan, who's going out. So I'm going to throw that one up because she's from Ireland, whereas like Sinead has connections to Ireland through her dad, who is Irish. But Denise O'Sullivan grew up in Ireland and is making her first World Cup, her own debut with the nation, and she's incredibly proud about it as well.
Love to see it. Shout out to Marissa Shiva, who's with the Spirit, also getting a call up for Ireland's national team. Love the crossover. It's the league is celebrating it as well. I love how all of these final 23-player roster announcements are getting dropped, and the league is just ready to just sort of celebrate that and say, hey, these players play here. They're representing their countries and they're representing NWSL. It's like it's a wonderful thing to celebrate, and love that this is like breaking in the middle of us doing this live. Love a natural reaction to things, and I'm with you. I think, look, a lot of U.S. audiences got to look at Ireland and how they can perform and what they can bring to the World Cup in that April window against the United States. And they also have a big road in front of them. They're not an easy group, and they're kicking off the World Cup. They have to take on the hosts, Australia, on July 20th. So it's going to be it. They have a banger to start and open their World Cup journey.
I mean, that's putting it pretty lightly to have that situation. So yeah, they will be playing Australia, Canada, and Nigeria. So not only are they going up against the hosts in Australia, it's the opening match of the World Cup in an 80,000 person stadium against the host in Australia. And then they have to go up against the Olympians, Canadians, who just won gold at the Olympics. And then they have to go up against Nigeria. It is going to be a tough road for Ireland, but I think that the way that the country's going about it and the players are, it's not this sense of like, wow, we're just so thankful to be here. It's more of like, we deserve to be here and we're ready to rock. But I agree. I know you touched on the video that came out for Ireland. Go watch it. It's really cute. Like if you didn't watch Brazil's yet, go watch that one as well with Pia announcing the names. Even if you don't speak Portuguese, it's very cool to watch and it's very emotional. The Irish one is really well done. It's a young footballer, a little Irish girl who's playing soccer by herself in her field and commentating as if she's playing on the national team, saying that she passes it to Katie McCabe, who passes it to O'Sullivan, who scores the goal. It gave me chills, honestly, to watch it. I'm really excited for this World Cup, Sandra. I can't believe it, but
it's going to be the greatest World Cup of all time. I can't wait either.
Is.
I love that we're getting to react to sort of these two national teams and their rosters specifically, because I feel like their two groups are the most chaotic, whether it's Group B with Australia, Ireland, Nigeria, and Canada, or Group F with France, Jamaica, Brazil, and Panama. It's going to be an amazing time. We're going to continue to talk about the World Cup all the way through these final weeks and throughout the duration of the World Cup itself. You make sure that you're tuned into A3, because we've got all the content coming for you